Hello and welcome to another episode of Exploring Standards. My name is Jess, your host, and today I am joined again by Robert Clements, CEO and founder of Assent Risk Management. Rob, how are you?
Hello, Jess. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So today, our episode, we are discussing the launch of Resilify's new subscription hub services. So we're going to go into a bit more detail about Resilify and the subscription hub services in a minute. But Resilify is a platform that is powered by Assent, which essentially is a self-service platform that customers can use to download documents and whatnot. But I'm going to hand it over to Rob to explain a bit more about what Resilify is.
Yeah, thank you, Jess. Well, we built Resilify, as you say, as a platform that people could use as a self-service to access ISO document templates, and now our subscription services for competent person and the DPO, which we'll go into later, I'm sure. It covered a slightly different market to what we do at Assent Risk Management, which is more of a traditional consultancy firm. And although our prices are very reasonable at Assent, it doesn't necessarily suit companies that are either smaller businesses or they really want to do some of the work themselves. So we built the Resilify platform, and I think it was quite a brave move, even though I say so ourselves, to put some of the template documents that our consultants use themselves and fill in and customize for our Assent clients. But we made some of those, or many of those, available through Resilify free of charge. So we're catering to a slightly different audience on Resilify, and this subscription hub is just the next step in that. It's just our way of making these services accessible to more small businesses.
Great, thank you. I know you just briefly touched on the documents that we have available free on the Resilify platform, but we also have some other services that are free. The legal register, do you want to go a bit into what that is?
Yeah, certainly. So the legal register, again, is a relatively new aspect that we've added to Resilify. We had already, through Assent, we'd already been releasing our legal register template, which is a list of UK laws, and many of the standards like ISO 14001 and ISO 45001 and some others. They have requirements for organisations to identify applicable legislation and document their approach to meeting that legislation. So obviously, as a consultancy firm, Assent needs to be aware of what those items are, and when they change, when laws change, we need to update our register. So for a long time, many years, we've made that register available to anyone that subscribes to our legal register newsletter. And initially, we put that onto Resilify as another way that people could get hold of it. But what we did recently, and you helped with as well, Jess, as you'll remember, the difficulties we had, we've put the database of those containing those records onto Resilify so that you can search them. You can search by industry and bring up some legislation that is generally relevant to each industry. Obviously, you have to review each item and make sure they're applicable to your business. But you can search by industry, you can also search by standard. You do have to do a little bit of the work. We'd just like the templates as well. We're not promoting the use of templates where you just find and replace the name or just take the list of legals that it's filtered. You do have to actually go through them, make sure they're relevant. But I think it just gives companies, and especially small businesses, a head start. As you say, that legal register, so the template, the monthly newsletter, and this database that you can filter is all free through Resilify as well now.
Yeah, that's great. As you said, for small companies and businesses, giving them a bit of a head start and somewhere to start, because ISO and standards and everything can be quite overwhelming, and it's a good launch pad to start off with. All our services on Resilify. So the topic of this podcast is the subscription services hub that has just been launched. I believe it was last week. And so, can you tell our listeners what the subscription services hub is?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be pleased. So it's a hub of subscriptions, Jess. And at the moment, we've got 3 different subscriptions on there. So this has really come from our work at Assent. and the services that we find companies really find useful. So firstly, we have a competent health and safety service. So the legislation says that companies have got to have access to competent advice, and many small and even some medium-sized enterprises, that's a big cost to maintain that resource. So it's not unusual for companies to outsource that service or buy an outsourced service so that they've got access to competent health and safety advice. So things are a little bit more, a little bit deeper than the day-to-day health and safety issues that obviously all companies need to be aware of. But when they need some advice on an incident or an accident or, a new work process, they would go to a service like ours. And we're already providing that through Assent, but what we've tried to do in the spirit of the Resilify platform is make that easier accessible to those small businesses. So there's 3 different levels of that service, depending on how much time you might need from our health and safety consultants. But the good thing about the subscription hub is that you can sign up online and you can get a certificate of service, which is kind of the evidence that you've got that health and safety advice as a backup. And all the subscriptions work in a similar way. So you can subscribe online, you can pay online, and you get access to, initially it's a temporary certificate. It's still valid, but it's got a shorter expiry on. And then our office at Assent will onboard the client sort of properly and fully and issue a full certificate. So that was the health and safety, the competent person service. The other one that we find popular at Assent is the data protection officer. So that's another outsourced service under the Data Protection Act. And this came in through GDPR, as many people will remember, privacy laws from Europe. And again, you can feasibly outsource that service if you need access to more expert advice, to deal with data subject access requests or any other sort of privacy issue. It's obviously cheaper than employing someone directly, but our subscription service gives you access to that advice. That works in a similar way. We have 3 different levels, 3 tiers of that service. And of course, clients can move between the tiers if they find they need some more time each month, or if they need less, they can obviously scale that up and down. But again, it's just quick access to that advice. And then thirdly, we already ran a help desk solution at Assent, and clients can email in to our help desk, and then any of our team will pick that up, those sort of queries, and service them. So we offer now through Resilify is a more premium service. So if you subscribe on Resilify, you don't need to have an existing relationship with Assent, but it gives you access to some advice about ISO standards or certification. Often I think clients find it useful when they're responding to tenders and they've got a question that they don't quite understand. They can raise a ticket in our system, and provided they've subscribed, one of our expert consultants from many of the disciplines will pick that up and give them a response. So it just helps to support them with things like tenders or any other advice that they might need. So that's our 3 initial offerings on the subscription hub, and really looking forward to seeing how that develops.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And now you've discussed a lot about Assent. Can you kind of go a bit more into the Resilify's link with Assent?
Yeah, of course. So Assent Risk Management is our oldest brand, really. It's where the company started. We've been going over 20 years now. We celebrated our anniversary not that long ago. And we've really been a management consultancy company, although we started in IT and some other services. Nowadays, we're all about international standards and championing those international standards. So the people at Assent are the same people that run the Resilify platform. But we built the platform, as we said initially, to just make it easier to access those services for small businesses. Of course, Assent's happy to work with small businesses, and we do, but it can be quite scary to a small firm to hire a consultant. They can maybe be a bit cautious of the cost of doing that and how it might affect them. Whereas by putting some content, as much content as we can, onto the platform at Resilify, which is essentially a website that people can access, we're just hoping to make it easier for people to get on board. So the Assent team run the platform. It's the same advice as you would get from Assent, but just accessed in a slightly different way for really targeted at small businesses.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So lots of information here about our subscription services hub that has recently just launched. Just as a brief overview for our listeners, it is a subscription service that allows you to have streamlined solution for companies in the UK needing either ISO support or a qualified competent person in health and safety or data protection. Each service offers 3 levels. It's a tier structure, so you can pick the tier, the level that you need that is suitable for your business. What we do have for our listeners today is we have a special offer where if you sign up, you get a 7-day free trial. There's no code needed for that. If you just jump straight over to the website, in which I will pop a link in the show description, it will automatically go on there. So a 7-day free trial of any of the services and any of the tiers on the subscription service hub for our listeners today. Anything else you want to add, Rob, before we wrap things up?
No, I mean, as I say, we're really keen to see what people think of the service. The subscriptions are obviously a paid for service, but I think they're quite competitive and they're aimed at small businesses. So hope that many small businesses can benefit from that. And on top of that, once you are on the Resilify platform, as you've already said, Jess, there's lots of free content on there, some documents and the legal register and the legal updates, which hopefully companies find useful in running their own management systems. And a lot of that content is released under a Creative Commons license, which is a very bold move to do that. And we've had lots of users sign up to that platform, before now, and we're hoping to grow that even further. So, please come over to the website, resilify.io, and sign up.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rob, for joining me on the show today and discussing the Resilify Services Sub-Hub. We really appreciate it. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with a new episode. Thank you for listening.